Chair Griffin, we are now live.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Griffin, Chair, and I would like to welcome you to the October the 13th, 2022 African American Heritage Commission virtual meeting. We will now call our meeting to order. The City County African American Heritage Commission consists of 9 members. 3 of those members are appointed by the Asheville City Council, 3 are appointed by Buncombe County Board of Commissioners, and 3 are appointed by 6 appointed members. The commission is to advise the City Council and County Commissioners about the preservation, interpretation, and promotion of African American arts, history, and culture. All committee members and staff are participating virtually. We appreciate your patience as we work through committee meetings a bit differently. We're streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the committee page. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone by dialing 855-925-2801 and entering meeting code 9409. For those of you who plan to speak during our live public comment today, you will need to hit *3 to be put in the speaker queue. I will now go through and introduce all committee members and staff who are participating virtually. For our committee members, please make sure to mute your microphone if you are not speaking. When you have a question or would like to speak, click raise hand, and when recognized by the chair, unmute your microphone. Please remember to mute your phone after you are done speaking. As I call your name, committee members, as I call your name, please say a quick hello. Aaron Griffin. Hello, everyone. Brandon Oliver. Can't hear you.
Hello, how y'all doing?
All right. Catherine Mitchell.
Hello, glad to be with you today.
Michael Hayes.
Good evening, glad to see you all.
And our freshly new appointed member, Cherie Lucas.
Hi, it's actually Sherry.
Jerry. All right.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Brenda Mills, Director of Equity and Inclusion in the City of Asheville.
Good evening, everyone.
Leonard Jones, Community Engagement Specialist, Buncombe County.
Good evening, everybody.
Sandra Kilgore, City Council Liaison.
Hello.
Alex Cole, Urban Planner, Historic Resources.
Hey, everyone.
Stephanie Dahl, Long Range Planning and Urban Design Manager.
Chair, I'm sorry, I meant to tell you Stephanie's in another meeting. She will join us shortly.
Okay, thank you. To help our audience follow along, I'll state each section of the agenda aloud. Again, I ask committee members to click raise hand and be recognized to speak. Please state your name each time you comment. Just a reminder that the public is listening on the phone and this keeps them up to date on the order of the meeting and who is commenting or speaking. First up on our agenda, we have the approval minutes of September the 8th. It's action needed. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Aaron.
Michael Hayes here, I second the motion.
Is there any further discussions of the minutes?
Chair Griffin, you've got 2 people with their hands raised. I'm not sure if they meant to raise them or not, or if their hands are raised about the matter. First was Councilwoman Kilgore and then Commissioner Mitchell.
Okay. First, Councilwoman Kilgore.
Please, mine was a mistake. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Catherine?
I raised in order to second the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Miss Catherine, you have to speak it, not raise your hands, okay? Because there may be people listening on the
Okay.
phone.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All righty.
Aaron Griffin, Brandon Oliver, Catherine, can't hear you.
Yes.
Michael
Yay.
and Sherry. Is that right?
That's right. Very, very good. Yes.
All right. So next, we have on our agenda the staff updates from City Liaison Brenda Mills and County Liaison Leonard Jones.
As part of my update, I forgot to totally put on your script. Why don't we let Sherry introduce herself and where she works and why she joined the board. She was appointed on Tuesday, October 11th by City Council as your new member. Sherry?
Yes, thank you, Brenda. I'm so excited and honored to be part of this committee. I'm actually I'm the owner and director of Go Local Asheville, which is an organization I hope you've all heard of. It's an organization that supports the local independent business community of the greater Asheville area. Before that, I was actually on the steering committee and became director last year when Franzi Sharon had stepped down. So I moved to Asheville about 3.5 years ago now. And my background is working with small businesses and startups. And I wanted to get involved in that community and started working as a volunteer with SCORE and Mountain Biz Works and just getting to know that community. And again, it dovetailed so nicely into working with Go Local, which is, as I just mentioned, very small business, local business focused. So that's a little bit about my background. I lived in California for about 25 years where I was, like I said, I worked with companies with lots of startups and worked with entrepreneurs who I love to work with. I love the energy of the entrepreneurial community. And Asheville certainly has a very robust entrepreneurial community here too. Just really excited about working with this committee specifically. I so believe in diversity and the African American community here, and anything that we can do to help, that Go Local can do to help support that, and that I can help, what I can do to help support that. I want to be involved with. So with that, just again, thank you. It's a great group, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Councilwoman Kilgore, did you have your hand raised? No? Okay.
Yeah. No.
All right. So on to staff updates.
Leonard, I think you're up.
Okay. One thing I would like to bring to this committee is that Buncombe County has a creative equity mural project that they now just launched. So Buncombe County is looking for artists to submit proposals for 3 spaces to promote racial equity, enhance cultural diversity, and promote reconciliation and restoration in Buncombe County. They're looking for proposals from individual artists and/or collaborations between artists. The 3 locations that they're looking at is 94 Cox Avenue, which is the tax office building, 164 College Street. That is a proposal mural, is in the parking deck walls, including walls at the ground level, as well as 2 walls on level 2 through 6 beside the stairs. And they're also looking at a location on 205 College Street, and that is a site on a wall on the courthouse side of the Register of Deeds building. And so again, the theme is racial equity, reconciliation, and restoration. They're looking for designs that reflect Buncombe County's people and its beauty. New artists and collaborations are encouraged. Submissions are due by November the 11th and should be sent in by mail. And proposals should include all 10 required elements, including all proposal costs. That's artist fees, materials, equipment, and needed for installation and projected mural maintenance and repair expenses. So you can find more information about this project from Buncombe County at buncombecounty.org/equity mural. But that's a campaign part of sort of like our racial equity action plan, just to be more diverse in the county. And so we'd like to bring that to group. So if you know any artists or people that want to collaborate to do a potential, to make a proposal, that is open until November the 11th. And so they're out there looking for that. And another, just a reminder just from the county, is that it is an election season. Deadline to register a vote is October the 14th. Earlier voting starts the 20th through November the 5th. And election day will be on November the 8th. So we strongly encourage people to get out there, be registered to vote, participate in the process, and go vote. And that's my update from Buncombe County.
Thank you, Leonard. Next, we have Councilwoman Kilgore. Okay. We're going to move on to item number 4 on our list, unfinished business. I'm going to turn it over to Brenda for that.
I noticed all stuff on your agenda looks a little bit confusing, but I think I figured it out in my head. So again, Brenda Mills, staff liaison for African American Heritage Commission with the city. And at this point, we are almost full. We have 2 things we need to do today. And I do appreciate that we have a quorum. Lynn Michelle Smith still needs to be replaced. The county is advertising that position. So we'll have to wait on them for that. Sherry has been put on the commission to replace, I think it's Stephen Blunt, I believe. And then we have 1 more position. We have 2 more positions that we need to fill. 2 of you, Brandon Oliver and Michael Hayes, were appointed by the commission. And if you are interested in remaining with the committee, because Brandon's gone again, right? He's off the meeting. So
He'll be back.
Okay. And Michael, would you be interested in remaining on the commission?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. And we'll hopefully have Brandon back in a minute. And then we are advertising for 1 more or several more positions, getting more applications. I will bring those to the next meeting, and then you can choose the 3rd person. So Sherry, how it works is the city has 3 appointments, the county has 3, and then the commission picks 3 appointments. And so we just haven't had enough applications. We just got your 1 for this. So we're so glad you could join us. If you would like, Chair Griffin, you can have someone make a motion to approve Michael remaining on the commission. And then when Brandon gets back, we just want to make sure we hear him say he would like to remain with us. And then we'll have some more applications, and hopefully in the next month, in November, for you to pick another person to replace Miss Georgia Shannon.
All right. Anyone like to make a motion to approve Michael on the commission? I like to.
And you'll need a second.
I second Catherine Mitchell.
Okay. Brandon, okay. Catherine?
Yes, I second.
Okay.
We're doing a roll call vote, folks.
Yeah, roll call vote. Sorry. Brandon, is he back? No.
No.
Michael?
Yay.
And Aaron, yay.
Now, just for a point of order,
Sherry?
because you I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sherry?
My bad.
Yay.
Okay.
So we'll wait till Brandon comes back and advise us if he would like to remain. I'll give him a text. In the meantime, you can move ahead.
All right.
You're muted, Aaron.
Okay, we're moving ahead to new business. African American. Well, Brenda spoke briefly about the African American Heritage representative for the Juneteenth celebration. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look over the packet, but can you speak a little bit more about that, Brenda? The
Right.
Juneteenth.
So this year, the city has put out a request for proposals for a nonprofit to look at providing that celebration this coming June 2023. And as part of that, there is put a copy of the email. Sorry about that. As part of that, they're asking several boards to provide representatives, of which African American Heritage is one. So there is a valuation panel which will be held on November 16th from 10 to 2. It is in person and lunch will be provided. And then you'll be reviewing, I'm assuming they'll send the responses out to you in advance for you to review. And then we will, the valuation panel will meet and make a decision on one of the groups to give this project to for June. So we'll be way ahead of the game. So we're just looking for a volunteer.
I would like to volunteer.
All right, I will let them know, Michael. I'll email back the group, the staff persons, and I'll copy you, Michael, on the email, okay?
And me as well.
Okay, yes, I will do that, Aaron.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Awesome, thank you. Brandon is back. Brandon, we just previously, with our vacancies, you and Michael were chosen by the commission, your commission appointments. And at this juncture, would you like to be considered remain on the commission? If so, just let it yay or nay, and then we need to vote to have you remain or move on.
I don't know. That's kind of on the spot right there. Do I have to yay or nay now?
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Okay. Let me ponder on that for a little bit.
All righty.
Processing some things. Thank you. I'm
All
glad
right.
y'all can hear me now too.
Yes. All right. Moving on. Chair Griffin, back to you.
All right. Moving on. Next on our agenda, we have Alex Cole, Urban Planner, Historic Preservation. They're going to tell us about the African American Heritage Resource Survey and Burton Street.
Hey, thanks. I know your time recently, so I will try to be brief. I'm off.
You're coming in and out. Uh-oh. Let's give her just a minute till she comes back. If not, we'll move on with Stephanie, and then we'll get Alex when she comes back into the meeting. How about that?
Sounds good.
Sorry about that. When technology works, it works. I will give her a text and see what's going on. There she is. All right. You're muted.
Sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Looks like I'm having internet trouble, so my apologies. But thank you, everyone. I appreciate you having me here today. I know I've taken up a lot of your time recently, so I will try to make my 2 items updates to you brief as I can. But these are just a couple of updates on some projects that we've been working on in the Planning and Urban Design Department for the last, the African American Heritage Resource Survey we started in 2018. So we're finally getting across the finish line, and we're really excited to present the final completion of it to you today. So, Brenda, are you running the slides for me? Thank you. Okay. All right. Just some quick key takeaways for this project and the work that we've been doing. So again, we started engaging the community around the documentation of historic resources specifically related to African American history back in 2018. This is a first phase of survey work that we need to do. If you look at the GIS data for surveyed historic resources in our historically Black neighborhoods in Asheville, you can see that there are lots of holes in where we've done survey work in the past. And so generally speaking, I would say our programmatic capabilities in terms of what projects we can fund is a little bit limited. So we're doing it in phases. So this was a first phase, if you will. The survey report provides a detailed historic narrative of African American life in Asheville over the course of our city and community's history. And the information that is generated out of a survey project can be utilized for historic designations, other long-range planning efforts, as you'll see with the Burton Street architectural survey. And the reason we undertook that survey, it had a very specific purpose. And it could also inform other projects in the community. I know Miss Mitchell and I met some years ago when she started her work on the African American Heritage Trail, and we wish we'd had this work completed then, but unfortunately we were just beginning it. So it can help out with other projects though. So we hope you'll share this information out with your networks. Okay, next slide, please, Ms. Brenda. So this is a quick presentation overview. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what an architectural survey is, some background on the project, next steps, and then I'm happy to answer questions for you all. Next slide, please. So I like to start here when I'm talking about architectural survey because I work in the field of preservation, and if you don't, architectural survey kind of sounds like a misnomer. It's actually more of an inventory of where we go out in the field and we document resources in the built environment that are important to our community's historic character. And that can be buildings or structures, objects, whole neighborhoods or areas, sites, and that's both prehistoric and historic. And usually it's in a specific geographic or thematic area. We do this kind of work for a variety of reasons, as I mentioned. It can help inform other projects, but it also helps us kind of illustrate and elevate our collective community history and character and communicate that information out so that, people from outside our community can also appreciate the history of our community. Can also help related projects, as I mentioned. And we use this information for a variety of different reasons or in different ways, but most often it's used to identify resources that we are interested in potentially pursuing a formalized historic designation for, either on the listing in the National Register of Historic Places, which is the national framework, if you will, for historic designations. And then we also have local designation capabilities too. But they can inform other projects that we work on in our department and elsewhere in the city too. So great information to have. Next slide, please. So some background on this. The Historic Resources Commission, that's who I liaise to in my work as a Historic Preservation Program Manager for the city. They are also a joint city-county commission, so our work is countywide. They are given the responsibility by state statute to identify and document historic resources in our community. But we like to keep, obviously, this commission in the loop of our work, since it obviously relates to the work that you all are charged with as well. Again, based on GIS data back a few years ago, we recognized that we really need to focus on architectural surveys specific to our African-American neighborhoods, because you could see where there were some holes. And survey work, just as a FYI, started in earnest in the 1970s, and there have been a multitude of surveys that have occurred over the course of our city's history, but none of which focused on a specific demographic. So this project was funded through Historic Preservation Fund grant monies, as well as funding from our department. So we had a total project budget of $25,200. Which is not a ton when we're doing this kind of work. So we were able to survey, which is document 75 resources citywide. And the other product that comes out of this work is the survey report, which is definitely the probably most community user-friendly product that comes out of this type of work. So we originally contracted with a company out of Ohio called Olin Eastlake back in 2019 to do the first phase of work. There is a link. I just want to go back to the second bullet point. If you're interested in looking at the GIS data, you can click on that link and it'll take you to the State Historic Preservation Office GIS site, where you can look at the different resources that have been documented across the state. Next slide, please. And this is just a screenshot from that same GIS site. This image is also a link if you want to click on it too. I just wanted to include a quick screenshot so you could see where the yellow dots, those are all the places where we've surveyed. The blue areas are National Register District or listed properties. So you can see that we have a lot of work to do in terms of capturing all the resources that we need to do. Next slide, please. So just some more background. In fall 2019, we received the draft survey report. Unfortunately, we felt like it was not up to the level that we had hoped for. So we went back to the drawing board and we contracted with a local consultant, Acme Preservation Services, in 2020 to make revisions to the report. To kind of put it in a nice way, it had to be pretty much completely rewritten, and it's almost 200 pages long. So it was quite an effort on the part of this consultant to rewrite the report, and we are super grateful because we got to a much better place and finally have the final survey report in hand and are ready to publish it. So then the other part that's happening simultaneous to us having the final report is that the State Historic Preservation Office staff is mapping all the resources that we documented as part of the survey. Next slide, please. So our next steps are a press release will go out tomorrow announcing the completion of this project. And that is a link in the report to the final survey document. I hope that everyone will read it. It's a really wonderfully written document. It was, for me personally, extremely educational, and I think it can be used by a lot of different folks in a lot of different ways, and mainly I think just educating ourselves about our history. And so what we need to do next is identify the next area that we'll focus on in survey of African American historic resources. So we will probably start working on exploring that next year, as well as funding options to complete more of the survey work we need to do. Next slide, please. This is just a duplicate slide of all my key takeaways to summarize those. I'm happy to go back over any of those, or I'm happy to move on to answer any questions that you all might have.
Yeah, I have a question. So I've read the last survey, the 2018 survey. So what kind of changes did you all make?
I don't know what 2018 survey, what 2018 survey did you read? We haven't published anything. 2018 was when we started to do the work, so we haven't published anything.
But on the website it has a survey there. So
yeah. On the project page for this?
Yes.
I don't think we posted an actual survey, you mean like a questionnaire survey?
Yes. Yeah, questionnaire survey.
We didn't have anything like that for this. We had one for Walton Street that that obviously was not 2018, so I'm a little confused. But we, to my knowledge, we did not publish a survey about this. We did do some community engagement at the very beginning of the project back in 2018, 2019, where we had 2 community meetings where we invited folks from the community and to come and talk to us and ask questions. But we didn't really have at that point have a need to ask questions from the community in terms of the work we needed to undertake. But this again will be the final published document, the survey report, and it basically goes through and gives us this really long historic narrative that's awesome to read, and then it goes through individually by neighborhoods and talks about evolution of the neighborhoods. And then it gives the list of the historic resources that were identified and documented as part of this phase of survey work. I don't know if that answers your question, Chair Griffin, because I don't know that I'm aware of a survey, like an actual questionnaire that we published.
Yeah, it's on the city website. But I guess my question is, so you guys had talk to people in the community to gather all this information to put in this. This is how we know the history of. You understand what I'm?
Yeah. So I think I know what you're asking. So whenever in this type of work, when we hire a consultant to write a report like this, they basically are doing archival research. We might have options for oral interviews and that kind of things where we try to capture, personal stories. I don't think that the original consultant was very successful in doing that, even though that was part of our contract with him. I think he only had interviews with 3 people, and those are all on file with in the archives at Pack Library. So I think some of that was incorporated into the report, but we didn't have much success in getting folks to sign up to participate in oral interviews for this particular project. So it was all archival research, which is extremely thorough. It's like a very academic exercise where you go to the library and you look at all these different resources to draft a report like this. So that's how the work for the report's mostly completed.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
Alex, Sherry Lucas here. Just a quick question on if you plan to present this information.
We will be presenting to City Council on Thursday, or not Thursday, what am I saying? October 25th. We haven't talked about going out to do any additional community presentations at this point. To be perfectly honest, we are kind of covered up at the moment in our department. So hopefully we will get to the point where we have some capacity to do that. But that's a great question.
Thank you.
One more, or maybe I missed it. How does this tie into Burton Street?
So Burton Street is the second survey project that I'm going to talk briefly about. All right. Okay, so thank you, Brenda. I'll just go to the next slide, please. All right, so this project came about it was initiated by the Burton Street Community Association. Our city department, among others, has been working pretty closely with their community association in recent years to implement their neighborhood plan, which outlines some goals and strategies related to neighborhood preservation or like character preservation in their neighborhood. it was determined at some point along the way that a pattern book was desired. And what a pattern book is basically just a tool that illustrates common building typologies, building features, streetscape elements, etc., in a given area to help communicate that information out. Either it's for design restrictions or just general information to share with people who might be developing in an area that are interested in knowing about the historic development and historic character of a community. So this is a more technical document than the other survey report, in that the other survey report has a historical narrative, but this particular document goes street by street. It talks about the specific architectural styles that are characteristic of this neighborhood and features of those styles that are commonly found in the neighborhood. And then also talks about common streetscape elements. And that is, again, to help us as a city develop a digital pattern book for them. So that is where we're going with this project. So that's why I meant that this type of work can inform long-range planning efforts, which the pattern book certainly is. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm going to go over some background, a quick timeline, and again, next steps, and then I'll answer whatever questions that you all might have. So this kind of came about as part of the I-26 connector project, as the Burton Street neighborhood worked with the NCDOT to hash out their neighborhood plan, which was approved by council back in 2018. I think the neighborhood's need for this or want for this really was generated out of some insensitive infill that's occurred in that neighborhood in recent years. And this is related back to specific goals and strategies that are intended to mitigate insensitive infill in their plan that includes supporting design standards and policies that aim to preserve and enhance neighborhood character, such as community design recommendations and or a neighborhood conservation overlay. And then this next slide is just some representative examples of insensitive infill. I guess insensitive, you could use a different word. It's just not contextual to the existing character or the historic character of Burton Street. Obviously much more contemporary, and we're seeing this all over Asheville. So Burton Street is not unique in that way, but the next slide shows you a few photos of representative architectural styles that are found in Burton Street. I think the main styles are Craftsman, Ranch style, and Neoclassical Revival. Next slide, please. Again, the community association partnered with our department on this to complete updated survey. The survey in that neighborhood has been updated quite a few times over the years because of their proximity to I-26, but we would needed to update the survey again for this particular project to do the pattern book. And that My Chat House website, that's a link to just an example if you're interested to an example that we're looking at as far as modeling our digital pattern book for the neighborhood. And again, the goal of the pattern book is to elevate neighborhood history awareness. Obviously, we're pretty limited in how we can get people to use this tool. Most, single family residential developers are not, they're not maybe going to pay attention to this, but we're hoping to find ways to get them to, such as connecting with real estate agencies and educating about this. There are development groups that single family development groups that meet that we are hoping to make aware of this tool so that we can really try to help elevate the neighborhood history awareness and again, illustrate the common building typologies. So this project was funded by the Community Association and some matching funding from our department for a pretty small budget of $6,000, but we knew we could accomplish what we needed to do with that dollar amount. So next slide, please. And this is just a screenshot from My Chat House, just to give an example of what one of their pages looks like. It's a pretty cool user-friendly interface that mixes images and graphics with text as well. Next slide, please. So we started on this back in 2021 when we issued the RFP last spring, and then we contracted with SNME, which is a big regional consulting firm, last summer. And then we've had the draft survey report for a little while and just finalized it during the summer. And then hopefully we'll get to work on the pattern book at some point here in the near future. Next slide. So there will be a press release week after next to highlight the work and completion of this project. And then we'll again work on the pattern book, and then we'll hopefully do some engagement around the pattern book to try to get the word out about it. Next slide, please. Summary again of my key takeaways from this project and the work we've been doing, and happy to go back over anything or answer questions if anyone has anything.
Well, I have a question. I'm trying to put this together. I guess I don't know how this is going to help the Burton Street community. How's it helps us in a sense of having information about historical buildings?
I mean, that's what the goal is. I don't know, what the outcome will be, but the goal is to help illustrate what the common building typologies have been historically in Burton Street, so that developers can see that and say, oh, this is the neighborhood history. This is what was, here originally or historically, and try to give them some appreciation for that so that they might be willing to design new infill housing in a more sensitive way.
So I guess the question is it a situation with the Burton Street community like that? Some of the houses that you showed, that they don't actually fit that community. Is that what do you call it? Insensitive?
Yeah, insensitive infill is kind of what it's called in planner lingo, but I guess you could just say it's not in context with the historic character of the neighborhood. And so I think the neighborhood, I can't speak to what their reasons are. They just are communicated to us that they feel like this new development that's occurring there is out of character with their neighborhood, and they are trying to work towards tools that can help them prevent more of that happening there. And we're a little bit limited as a municipality in terms of what tools we have at our disposal to help with this, because we're very limited in North Carolina how we can regulate single family development in particular. And the main way that we do that is through a local historic overlay district, but that can come with some cons that are maybe unwanted in some neighborhoods, such as it usually results in much higher property taxes. It usually results in much higher costs to maintain buildings and structures within those neighborhoods. It can come with positives. Obviously, I'm a preservationist, so it's not that we don't support that. It just wasn't the tool that the community wanted. They wanted something that's more like a preservation light, if you will, that is, working towards the same goal, but isn't as restrictive as some of the other tools that we have at our disposal. And we're still looking at the neighborhood conservation overlay, which, to tell you what that is, it's a zoning tool, but it mostly just regulates like building setback and height and those sorts of things. It doesn't necessarily dictate, get in the granular level on like design features, like roof styles or architectural styles for that matter. So we're just trying, I guess, to answer your question, do what we can with the tools that we have at our disposal to help the neighborhood achieve the goals of their plan.
Okay. So this is mainly for the developers, right?
It's to communicate out to them, but I would encourage anyone to use it, because it is going to have information about the story of that neighborhood and its evolution. And so it has, again, like a whole historical narrative, like the other project that I just talked about did. It's just, you go from that into this very technical information about this is what this street looks like. This is what this street looks like. We don't do that in the other one because the end goal wasn't a pattern book for that other project.
Okay. Any questions from anyone else? Any concerns? If not, we're gonna move on to thank you.
Thank
Alex.
you, everyone.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Stephanie, we have you next.
Thank you, Chair.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate this ability to come talk to you. And we're good on time. I was gonna say, I am presenting at the East End Valley Street Neighborhood Association at 6. So I need to be out by 5:45, but we're good. Okay, so you heard a little bit from me, I think a couple months ago, about us kickstarting the Pack Square Plaza Visioning Project. So let's go to the next slide. And I'll tell you what this is. It's a way for us to document the community's vision for a more equitable, accessible, and inclusive Pack Square Plaza. Okay, and it's really an extension of the work that was started by the Vance Monument Task Force when they recommended to the city and the county that the Vance Monument needed to come down, and that was a harmful monument and a symbol of white supremacy. So we're talking about the site where the Vance Monument was previously located, but everything around the square as well. And we're also looking at physical and mental connections from that area to the Block neighborhood, which is just next door. Next slide. So I'm not going to go through all of this slide, but I think the most important thing to say is that the majority of this work is going to be focusing on community engagement, site analysis, taking a look around the site, and even just looking at things like, where could you not go if you were in a wheelchair? We'll also be looking just at general best practices in urban design that make like what makes this a place where people want to be. And we'll be talking about public space management considerations. So that's everything from how often does the trash get picked up to when can we have festivals in this space and how do we support those community expressions of culture and joy. So next slide. So this part is important. This is the meat of what the vision document is going to say. In the end, as a community, we are going to have recommendations for the city and county that tell us what the top issues are regarding repurposing the area where the former Vance Monument stood. We're going to have recommendations on how equity and inclusion could be advanced on Pack Square itself, short-term and long-term, so even in advance of actually spending any real money there. We're going to have recommendations that guide the future design process for capital improvements to Pack Square, including recommendations that tell us how to be realistic about the amount of money that is spent here, to be realistic and also thoughtful, sustainable, and equitable. And then we'll have recommendations on what a public-private partnership to support anything moving forward could look like, including a public-private partnership on operations or management of the area. And as I mentioned, recommendations that can help us better connect both physically and mentally between Pack Square and the Block, which is just around the corner, either way you go, south or east. So next slide. So for folks who don't come downtown very often, that might not be where they live or play all the time, this map here shows you where the former Vance Monument stood, right there, kind of in the center of Asheville. And this is just a general, it's not totally accurate, but it's a general map that shows you like the majority of the public space in around the square. And this used to be more of a square, right? Because on the right-hand side of that graphic, right now where it's open, years ago, that's where the Buncombe County Courthouse stood. So it really was a square. Next slide. And then, as I mentioned, we're also going to be taking a look at the Block. Again, do not get too hung up on the boundaries of this map. It's just really to show you some of the gateways, especially on Market Street, in Eagle Street, knowing that there are, after speaking with folks from the Block Community Collaborative and others, that many people who come and visit Pack Square who have money in their pockets and are interested in arts and culture and history and all the other things have no idea how close they are to one of the most important cultural institutions in North Carolina, the YMI, and plenty of other emerging businesses, festivals, and events. And so we want to help them think about that. So we are really looking at this process as a place where we can collect some ideas for safekeeping, some ideas about what the community wants to do in those gateways at minimum. And at maximum, maybe we can really provide some deeper recommendations. Next slide. So where we are today is that we are collecting people's feelings about Pack Square, especially on this engagement portal. You've probably been to the publicinput.com site before. You can just go to publicinput.com/Pack Square, and there's a short survey up. We are going to constantly improve that web portal and that engagement site so that it is a better way for us to understand what the community wants and needs. We have a temporary public art program. 4 of those projects have already gone up or been displayed in the square. They ranged from a puppet show called Leah and the Rabbit, which told the story of an enslaved woman at the Vance birthplace site, the family home there, that was put on twice, the opening weekend on a Saturday, to you may have seen, it's still up on the square, a sculpture that includes solid color flags that really are meant to help people think about unity and what it means to come together no matter what color you are. We're having there's actually an article in the Mountain Express if you want to just take a look at that online about this temporary public art program, and it lays out one of the events that's happening this weekend. So you might want to check that out. We are looking to engage with people at community events, neighborhood associations, and do what I'm calling 5-minute touch points. That's what I'm doing tonight at East End Valley Street. Got some postcards. I want people to know that if they want a seat at the table, they can have it. Their voice will be heard. So we're going out and talking to people, and we appreciate if you think that we should be coming to speak to anyone in an organization, an association that you are part of. We appreciate you just reaching out to me, SDAHL, SDAHL at AshevilleNC.gov, and let me know immediately, and I will figure it out. This has just changed. So we've changed this presentation, and I'm sorry that these dates are wrong, but we've decided it's not enough time for the community to be told that we were having special engagement events November 8th through 12th. It's also Veterans Day weekend. So we have pushed to December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And we're going to be having 8 community meetings that are special focus groups. For example, we're going to meet with teens. We're going to meet with young professionals. And we are also having one big public meeting on the Saturday where we're asking the community to come out, and they will not only be asked to just give us something in the form of their input. We're going to provide hot chocolate, we're going to have music, and we're going to make it so that there's a pretty good time and a reason for you to be there. Lastly on this is we have started this week assembling a community advisory committee, and I'm going to get to that main point here in just a second. Next slide. There you go. There's that way for you to get into the hub, and we'll go to the next slide. Next slide is just a visual of the 4 projects that we've already had for Art in the Heart to date, which have been an interesting way to engage the community. Next slide. And as I mentioned, we're doing these 5-minute pitches or listening sessions. Sorry there. And we will do, we are interested in your input on it. So just let me know. And next slide. So this December 1, 2, 3, as I mentioned, these are the things when I mentioned at the very beginning, like, what are we going to get recommendations on in this vision plan? What are we going to end up saying to city council and to the the county commissions. It's at these meetings where we start really collecting that input so that we know what people are getting. And then we're getting themes, and we're going to get a document from our consultants, which is the McAdams company, that says back to, and our community advisory committee is going to go back to the community. This is what we heard. Is this what you're thinking about Pack Square, what it should look like for your kids in the future? Next slide. And the meat here I want to talk about is this community advisory committee. So this community advisory committee is a group that is going to have a bigger seat at the table, that they can provide a little bit more frequent interaction with city and county staff, and also with our consultants to see if we are really on track with Pack Square, right? So they're kind of our consistent soundboard throughout this process. And what we're doing is asking 7 or 8 city and county boards. We're asking the chairs to field interest from their members or from themselves and pick someone, if they can, who has the time and energy to be able to serve on this community advisory committee. And what's in it for the commissions is potentially the ability to leverage some of the things that they are interested in, whether it's the African American Heritage Commission or the Downtown Commission, Public Art and Cultural Commission. Y'all have goals. Y'all have things that you want to see happen in the community. And this is the center of Western North Carolina. So is this something where you want to see some of your goals realized? Is this that kind of place? So we're asking one of you to come to that advisory committee table and participate. So we're starting this committee next week, but the first meeting is not till October 31st. Yes, that is Halloween, but this is at noon, so you can still be with your kids or family or answer your door at noon. And it's going to be a virtual meeting, so we're trying to make it as easy as possible for the kickoff. And then we'll meet 3 to 5 times throughout the project. I'm thinking that it's really about a 10-hour commitment, all in, through now to April 30th. So that's, do you have 10 hours between now and April 30th is your question. So it says, again, the meeting is anticipated, the kickoff, somewhere between October 31st, November 4th. It's noon, October 31st. We have a link to the role of the members there, and we're just asking you to commit until April 30th. So next slide. I'm here for questions about the project or about the role of members on the committee. I appreciate the ability to even just request that you participate. That I'm interested to hear from you if you think there's some alignment here.
Michael Hayes, I think there is some alignment with what's being proposed. I think it's very important that we also, recognize that if we're talking looking at things through an equitable lens, I think it's very important that there are more people from the community that are involved with, what's going on and having and give the information now, because with all of this is going on, you speak about the Block community, but there are so many other people and so many other communities that have a direct, relationship with Eagle Market Street. And there are a lot of those who don't have the history that other people have that's connected to Eagle Market Street. And, we talk about the, Vance Monument and all of that we're trying to replace. I think getting information out is going to be important. That's one. But secondly, even when you look at things that have already been done, how many community members knew about the past projects that you already had? You talked about those 4 projects that you already had, right? So I think it's important that the African American Heritage Commission is a part of this conversation. But of course, that's that's just me speaking personally.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I like the idea of connecting Pat to the Block, and also to East End, and also to the trail that's going on. It's so much to be, it has to be connected to all these it has to be connected to all of these communities to make it, because all of them are relevant. And, just this, I don't know, I'm just saying, grab a little bit more, because we need more connection than anything right now. So it would be great to be able to do that and connect with the block, connect with East End and the African American Heritage Trail. There's all these entities down the south side to Burton Street, the Shiloh community. It would be great to have that connect to all, because we are here and our communities are relevant, and it's not just one location. We lost a lot, so it'll be great to sort of just to pull all of that back out, so some real healing can take place. But yeah, as far as your requesting someone, I would love to be there.
Catherine Mitchell, I would love to join you again, Steph.
Hey, Catherine.
Hi.
Very nice to hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I will talk to Brenda about this, but Brenda and I have talked about this quite a bit. So I think we are, if you have the capacity for it, if there were 3 of you that wanted to join on this committee, as long as it's not a quorum of your commission, we will take you. We will absolutely do that. So I'm gonna say right now we've got Catherine and Aaron are a definite yes. By the way, Leonard already works on the team. So we have a pretty cool thing going on, and I'll just put it out there that you guys can talk to Brenda or me or the chair if you have any questions, or if more people want to participate or make suggestions. The suggestions and comments that you gave are excellent help for me right now. Anything else I can share with you all?
I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Steph.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to sign off and go back to the Riverfront Commission meeting and then off to East End.
Have a great evening.
All right. Take care.
All right. Number 6, next on, we have the African American Heritage Commission work plan. Ms. Mitchell, we have you wanted to share some things with us.
Yes, I'm looking at my notes. The first note that I have is reconsideration of our mission. If there is any desire to expand the current mission statement, and if so, can we have a committee, a volunteer committee, to work on that issue?
Okay.
Miss Catherine, this is Brenda Mills.
Uh-huh.
When you say expanded, could you elaborate just a little bit more? I guess I'm not understanding what you want. You want to add something? What do you want to add to it?
Well, we have in the statement, the commissioners are concerned with the enhancement of the economic, social, cultural, and recreational lives of African Americans. Do we want to include health, child care, any other community issues that are prevalent and involve organizations that are also conducting activities, very helpful activities in those other areas?
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind working in that group. I think it's, it's so ironic. I feel like, what's going on with Walton, that almost can be the hub of, the housing, healthcare, employment, entrepreneur. It can be it all if we, we work towards that. So yeah, we should add some more things. I think we should make some adjustments so we can be a little bit more clear about what we're doing. I know we've been all over the place, but we're getting close.
So I will double check. Your mission is given to you by City Council. So I just want to I'll make sure that if you update it, does it need to go back to them or not? You're a county city board. So any changes, structural changes, we would have to check on, but I'll check on that.
Okay. What I would like for you to check on, Brenda, is whether or not we can expand the definition of social activities to include those groups. If the entire mission statement has to go back, can we narrow the context so that it does not become a major decision for either the council or the commissioners?
Okay. And what I'm just making sure I'm understanding, because what does that mean for you as a board? Because just with the work you're doing now and the work plan that you received from Joseph, that's a lot of stuff. So what does that mean for you as a board action, future actions and future work? Well,
Education, and our kids are falling substantially behind, seems to be a real issue. We also have the impacts, the negative and future impacts of pandemics, which we have not set as a goal in terms of our involvement. And so those areas in particular are concerning in terms of becoming both connected and interactive with.
And I totally understand why you want to do it, but what does that mean for the commission? So what is the work you're going to do as a commission?
I think we should have time to really
right,
iron that out of what we are going to do. But if that means, because I think what Ms. Mitchell is saying, I think that's kind of, all of us think those are relevant issues.
Absolutely.
That the African American Commission, Heritage Commission, can actually roll our sleeves up and be a part. As Commissioner Griffin brought up, like a lot of that is directly correlated to the Walton Street project. And you might ask how, but when we're talking the health and our students like stepping through the cracks, it's because one of the reasons is because of lack of representation. So if there's lack of representation of what they can see that is African American owned, or that is African American ran, or that is African American represented, then they can start seeing themselves doing better, being better, and we can start to provide that for them. But until that time, and everything keeps getting taken away or taken down, but that's just one reason. So there's a lot of reasons why I think we should roll our sleeves up and be a part of looking at how we can, I don't want to say change the narrative, but actually be authentic about the narrative so that we can do authentic work instead of it being like showmanship, performance work. Does that make sense?
It does, but you're still telling me why you want to do it. What does it look like on the ground? Like,
Brenda. Okay, I would like to that was when we had the conversation with the HR, and we just had the meeting, and basically that was one of the things that we talked about early on, and they were trying to figure out what, why we have moved from point A to point B, because we were in the process of sort of redefining what the African American Commission actually did. And I thought that was when we did the retreat with Dr. Fox, that's what we were actually trying to sort of come up with. And basically, like Aaron was saying, I don't know. I went back to city council during our first meetings on this, and I went back to talk to Brad, the attorney. I talked to Deborah Campbell, and also about how do we actually redefine African American commission to actually cover, to be a part of the community. And basically at that time, they said that because we were in the process of realigning the commissions, then we needed to wait and see that process because it, how it sort of filtered in. But since we're now not doing that, then we're back to the drawing board of how do we expand the commission. And like Aaron was saying, I know some of the mission statements that Dr. Fox shared with us from other different African American commissions, some were more expansive. And what happens with that, it does give us an opportunity with the African American heritage to be able to be that liaison or that connection between the Black community and the city. And that's important with with all issues to some degree. And like Aaron said, the first thing you need to do once we redefine where we're going, the African American Commission needs to get out in the community and let them know that that's what they're there for. That way they can be the ears and eyes to sort of come back and sort of pull everything together for the other commissions to deal with. And the reason why, Brenda, I think that's really important because like right now, we have 3 Black females on city council, but years in the future, we may not have any. So we still need to have some type of resource where we're connected to being the liaison to the city from the Black community. Because right now, we've got so many different organizations and committees and everybody's clamoring here and there. And hopefully the African American Commission will be a place where they all can sort of come and we can bring it together. Does that make sense? And I think that's where, Aaron, is that where we're headed or is that what you're all looking at?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that okay. Yeah, I had talked to them about it and they did say, Brenda, that it was something that we had to, once we redefine it and we take it to council, and it probably will have to be voted on. That's what Brad was telling me. So yeah, that's the way we go. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was my major issue.
So if you could decide who that committee would be less than a quorum of your group. Right now you have 7 members. So you could have up to 3 people on that committee. I think you have Aaron and Miss Catherine, and then a 3rd person who might want to work on that. And then before we get off this call, I'd like to look at future agenda items. So I think that would be one to hear back from that committee in 30 days. And that doesn't, that can take up most of your meeting because you've got a lot that you need to discuss. So any feedback on that or?
That works for me, Catherine Mitchell.
Okay.
Works for me, Aaron Griffin.
Me as well, Michael Hayes.
So Michael, you're going to be on that committee, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All righty. So y'all going to be looking at the mission of the committee and some next steps for work.
Yeah,
Cool.
sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah.
We also will be looking for other future items, the vacancy. We got one for Buncombe County. Hopefully we'll have some applications for November that we can vote on. Brandon's going to get back to me next week about continuing or not. And then we're going to hopefully have some more applications. I'm going to forward the vacancy thing through the Village Roundtable, which is our listing of African Americans in the community. Please get out and support getting this word out to people about boards and commissions. Because I think it's important for us to have representation, but we got to get it. And really when you talk to people, it's a sacrifice to volunteer on a board. It is a big sacrifice. It's a monthly meeting. You want to do other committee work like you heard tonight. You're going to be working with Pack Square. There's, a representative being asked for the Juneteenth RFP review. So it's not all the time, but it is a sacrifice of at least 2 hours, 2 hours a month, I would say. You guys are really good about starting and stopping on time. So I'll get that out to you all. So if you can support doing that. And then if you think of any other items that we need to discuss, and like I said, we don't have to have a chock full agenda. Because I think discussion around the mission and vision of your board will be very important moving forward. And bring, I would say take the document, the summary document, and the one that he provided, which I put in your folder. I'll make a new folder for next month's meeting. And think about, what does this look like? What 3 or 4 things does this look like that you could get started with work? I guess just something tangible to think about for the future. So you can, at least get some target that you want to work on. All right.
All right. Next up, Brenda, do we have anyone waiting in the public comment section?
We do not have anyone on the line, Chair Griffin.
All right. So I'm gonna move on to 9 on our agenda. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November the 10th, 2022. And we will notify the public if we will continue virtually or in person once the state of emergency is lifted.
You don't have to read that. and you have voted.
It's lifted.
Yeah, that's okay. You have voted to stay virtual. So
we're gonna stay virtual, y'all.
Yeah.
So I will now adjourn the meeting unless there's any objections.
Yeah, Mr. Griffin, if we have no agenda items, do we send those directly to you?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
If we have new agenda items that we want to add to the agenda for our next meeting, do we send those directly to you?
You can.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. That's it, y'all. So adjourn. No. Welcome, Sherry. I got that right, did it?
Sherry.
Yes, you did.
All right. Y'all have a good one. All right, y'all.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night.